Hello everyone, and welcome to my Quickstart guide for Multicrew Tank Combat 4 on Roblox. This video is mostly aimed at beginners, but if you have already played the game and would like to know a little bit more, then this tutorial might still be a little useful for you. Let's begin. When you first spawn, you'll want to find three things: the spawn vehicle button, the loadout locker, and the ammo and fuel area. Then you'll want to walk over to the loadout locker and click on it. I'll select Crewman, since that's the default class. Then you'll want to select your primary, secondary, and tertiary items as you wish. I'll select the flag as my tertiary item. Then you'll want to walk over to the spawn vehicle button. Then, when you open the menu by clicking on the button, you might notice that some vehicles have a crewman-only subtitle underneath their name. This means that only people of the crewman class can crew this vehicle. This does not apply to any passenger seats in the vehicle. Passenger seats will always be able to be sat on by whatever class, no matter the circumstance. Now all that's left to do is select your vehicle. I'm going to choose the T54. You can choose your camo color down here, and you can insert your image ID up here. I'm just going to leave it blank. If you are not teleported into your tank automatically, walk up to it and try and find the driver's seat, as indicated by your cursor changing to this icon and saying driver underneath it. Click on it to enter. Now, you might think you would just be able to flick the start switch for the engine and start going. But when I hold W, nothing happens. Why is that? I have to direct your attention to the bottom right of your UI. There lies the gearbox. I'll explain it very quickly. Press E to upshift and Q to downshift. The gear F1 being forward 1 and in the other direction, R1 being reverse. On the left of the driver UI, there is 3 meters, a speedometer, a fuel meter, and an RPM meter. The RPM meter is the one that's important here. Shift up into the first gear. Then hold W. We've started to move, but not very fast. Look at the RPM meter again. The RPM meter has reached its maximum. This means the engine no longer has any more power to give to the wheels. We can change that by shifting up, and when we shift up, you'll see that the RPM meter will jump back a bit. As a rule of thumb, you should shift up whenever the RPM meter reaches the red area. Remember, if your RPMs are too high, shift up. If they're too low, shift down. Sometimes, while going up steep hills or turning, your RPMs will go down. This is when you should shift up. You can see here that because we've turned, your RPMs are no longer high enough to get the vehicle to move forward, so we have to shift down. Most of the time, if you're planning on making lots of twists and turns, it's better to stay in a single gear that is slightly lower than what you should be at, so that each time you turn, you don't have to shift gears again. This is especially useful if you have to focus on incoming obstacles. This next part of the tutorial will focus on the second most important seat in your tank, the gunner's seat. This seat is usually located either in front of the commander's seat, or sometimes is just the commander's seat on certain smaller vehicles. In other cases, you should just search for it. It should be somewhere around the tank. If there is no gunner's seat, the gunner controls are probably bound to another seat, so try every other seat in the tank. If your tank has freshly spawned, you should choose what ammo you should load to the gun. This UI won't show up if you already have someone in the loader's position, already have a shell loaded, or have run out of reserve ammunition. Speaking of the loader's position, I'll take this time to explain the loader's position to you. Not only is your reload speed increased because you have a loader, you can increase it even further if the loader plays the timing mid-game right and hits E when the bar reaches this yellow strip. The bar immediately skips to the end, and you can even see that we earned some points from it. Now, let's swap back to the gunner's seat, where I'll show you the controls. The first thing you need to learn is how to move the gun. Press X to scope in. Then you can use your mouse to move your gun around. You can also use WASD, but I wouldn't recommend this. If you want to fire your gun in third person, you can press H. The gun will follow your mouse, and stop following your mouse when you press H again. Earlier, I pressed F to fire the cannon, and as you can see now, our reload speed is much slower without anyone in the loader's seat. While the gun is loading, let's take a look at the right, where you can see we actually have two different guns. To swap between both armaments, click on them on the right side of the screen. Then when I hold F to fire, or press F to fire, depending on the gun, you'll see that it will fire the other gun. And if you ever forget any of these controls, they will always be here in the Controls tab. Speaking of which, we can see there it says C to swap guns. And there we go. This is quite useful, especially when you're scoped in, and you can't move your mouse to the right side of the screen. Some of you may have already noticed that when I swapped guns, distance markers appeared. These distance markers are quite useful, especially when gauging targets at long range. This way you know how high you have to aim, and since this game has bullet drop, you have to take that into account. All it takes is one missed shot for them to see where you fired from, and they'll shoot right back. After surviving a fight, you might run low on fuel and ammunition. And to restock, you could go back to your base, which would probably be located in the corners or on the sides of the map. Instead, I'm going to go towards a capture point, since you can restock there too. When you enter the capture point, you will start capturing it. You can see the capture progress on the map by looking at how much the icon is filled up with your color, and you will also see the capture points icon above the point as well. Be careful to switch off your engine, that way you're not just burning through fuel while not going anywhere. Now I've got an ammo box and jerry can, I'll move over to my tank and click on it. Now I can see the areas that are highlighted so that I can select where I want the ammo to go. The fuel can works in the same way. While we were rearming and refueling, we had captured the point. If I open the map and look at the top of the screen, you can see that we're gaining points every second or so. These points are points that go towards the team's score, unlike the points that show up on the leaderboard here, which go towards you, the person. The player points are for unlocking vehicles in different tiers. You can see that under the tier 2 name here, there is a certain amount of points I need to unlock vehicles in that tier. Since we have enough points, let's go ahead and take the helicopter. Now I'm going to teach you how to fly the helicopter. Click the switch to switch on the engine, and don't forget, if you forget any controls, they'll be down here in the Controls tab. If you spawn your vehicle and someone else gets there first, you can always kick them using this menu down here. The first thing you're going to want to do is hold shift to increase the throttle, as represented by the bar here on the left. Then hold W or S to tilt the aircraft forwards or backwards. You can also hold A and D to yaw the aircraft left or right. Great job, you've done the first hard part, and that's taking off. Now we have to do the second harder part, and that's landing. I'll use this empty clearing on the right between the trees as our little landing zone. While you're coming in towards the landing zone, lower your throttle a little bit. If you're going too fast, tilt your aircraft backwards to counteract the forward speed. Then, slowly lower your throttle and open the back doors. You don't want to lower the throttle all the way, else you'll hit the ground too hard and crash. One last thing, your gun's stabilizer. The stabilizer can be switched on at the bottom right here. Not every vehicle has it, and only the gunner will be able to switch it on. You can also press the Z or Z key to toggle the stabilizer without pressing the button. And you can see here with the stabilizer on, that it keeps the gun facing the same direction with the same elevation, as long as you don't go higher or lower than the gun's depression or elevation. And that's the end of my quick start guide for Multicrew Tank Combat 4 on Roblox. I hope this was helpful, and happy tanking!